Tony Draper. She called me and she said, I would like you to do a keynote address at the Juneteenth breakfast. I said, well, really, Juneteenth is a day of rest and food, but I'm sure I can find time. She said, well, what is your honorarium? I said, it's the Afro. It's the Afro. It is a gift of love. The Afro is the only newspaper that my father had a lifetime subscription to. When I looked around for what newspaper I wanted to write in, I wanted to write for the Afro because I wanted my dad to get the newspaper at his home, open up, and see my story so he could stop asking me for the college money back. Money well spent, Dad. I also want to recognize Dr. Ben Chavis, who I met as a young child. He knows my father, Bishop Carson Wise. I read the work of Dr. Benjamin Chavis when he once wrote, pain and suffering is not a permanent circumstance. So thank you for that. I remember you sitting in that jail talking about how you're the only person to ever been arrested for driving too slow. And so thank you for standing tall. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the former president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the former president of the National Council of Negro Women, my soror, Dr. Thelma Daly. Thank you so much for your work. I also want to recognize Bobby Henry, who's being uplifted. His father, when he found the West Side Gazette, said, this paper will be black, it will be white, and it will be red. That's the idea of black newspapers. They will be red. And I cannot move forward without recognizing media mogul, Dr. Vanya Pettigrew. That's everybody from the head table and dressed in white, bringing it in for Juneteenth. Thank you, Mayor Scott, for your work and your dedication and your love for this city. I am deeply honored to be here in this room with people who are dedicated to preserving black history by any standard of measurement. The Afro is a great newspaper. They have done their part to hold up the banner of brilliance and excellence for over 132 years. People don't understand when you come from being formerly enslaved, when black folks couldn't even read, when we had to run away to the woods to get even an inkling of education, to have the vision to found a newspaper, we have to uplift what that means. Because if we don't tell the world about black history, they will never know. And for those who do know, who are extremely conservative, they'll act like they never heard. And for those who pretend that we don't matter and our history can be denied, they'll pretend they can't erase us. Our duty, our responsibility is to hold up the banner of black history, to remind the world over and over again that we are, like the mayor said, the cradle of civilization, of black literature, of black understanding, of black family, of black tenacity, and dare I add, black joy. Because for some reason, people believe that black folks have no joy. We have learned how to laugh through our tears. We have learned how to celebrate even when the building is on fire. We have learned how to stand tall even when they're trying to knock us down. We have come over a way that has been watered with our tears. I was listening to Lift Every Voice and Sing, a song my dad made us learn. As a pastor's kid, sometimes you had to sing for your bread. That's what my dad taught us a long time ago. If we wanted dessert, we had to learn scripture. If we wanted to get our allowance, we had to learn all kind of poems. My dad was determined to pour black history in us along with the cornbread and hog moss, right? Like Pastor Biscuit's daddy, now tell me who was the first black person to do that. But I remember learning Lift Every Voice and Sing. And my dad said it would be an embarrassment to ever have to sing that song and have to look for the words. He said, you never have to look for the words for the national anthem. You never have to look for the words to any of the rap songs you want to learn. You should never have to look for the words to lift every voice and sing. Today I got choked up singing it. Because what I was reminded of in that moment is black folks in Galveston, Texas. Now, Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, as we know, did not free anyone. Dude did not free anyone in any places where he could have freed them. But like Jacqueline Joyce Royster said, the Emancipation Proclamation gave black folks the onus to free themselves. They were waiting on that watch night, 1862, all over the country to find out if the document that Lincoln had talked about in September would be released. Now, he was a strategic planner, because he said in September, I'm going to release it in January, but I'll give you a chance to come back in the Union. And if you come back, you can keep your slaves. He was trying to make deals with the Confederate states. But there was a church up in Boston, the Tremont Church. And Frederick Douglass was on the program. He said, I don't want to go to the mic until 11:55. He said, because I want to speak. So if the document's not released, I want to be the bomb to take my people into Gilead. Yeah. And if the document is released, I want to be the first one to welcome our enslaved brothers and sisters into the land of freedom. And so he started speaking. They said in the middle of his speech at 12:01, someone ran out and grabbed his arm and said he did it. We didn't think he was going to do it, but he did it. Frederick Douglass said you can hear the songs of freedom coming up from the South. You can hear the shouts of joy ringing out through the North. That document allowed black folks the extra push they needed. That when people like Harriet Tubman showed up, leading the Combahee River Collective, going through South Carolina, my home state, the most racist state in the Union at this moment, she said, look, black folks, drop the holes where you stand, pick up your bags, and join me on this walk to freedom. Freedom's coming to get you, but are you ready? She walked through that night. 700 black folks said, we're coming with you. We don't know where we're going, we just know where we used to be. And we know where we used to be is not where we want to stay. Freedom was showing up all over the country, but there was a concerted effort to keep freedom from the arms and hands and ears and spirit and soul and bodies of enslaved people. What the white plantation owners kept doing is moving black folks out farther and farther. Every time the Union would show up, they would snatch black folks in the night and take them out a little bit deeper, away from where freedom was. I got choked up thinking about what it must have been like on that morning in Galveston, Texas. Now, I've been to that place where freedom arrived. There's a bridge you have to go over. Because the white folks were thinking about blowing the bridge up. They said, maybe we need to blow the bridge so the soldiers can't get here. So they're willing to blow up bridges, blow up churches, blow up our blocks, kill all our children, incarcerate all our men to keep us from ever experiencing freedom. The soldiers came across that bridge and they said that the black folks who were there started crying. Because what they did for Galveston, Texas, they put the colored soldiers in the front. So imagine being an enslaved person and you see a black soldier on a horse with a musket on his shoulder coming across the bridge. They said, you are the last ones. We've been working to get here. We had to get the message to you. You are the last holdout of slavery in the country. Everybody else has heard about freedom but you. They said, but when we heard about you, we got started on this journey. Now, that made me think for a second there about the Bible. For those of you who've been to church once or twice. But there's a moment when Daniel in the lion's den, when he prayed and asked God for forgiveness.